The sky above New York City darkened unnaturally as a shadow larger than any storm cloud passed over the bustling metropolis. People froze in their tracks, craning their necks upward to witness the impossible. A colossal alien vessel descending from the heavens. Its sleek, obsidian surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the city lights like liquid oil. The air vibrated with an otherworldly hum that made teeth chatter and hearts race. Panic rippled through the streets as alarms blared across the city, but no one dared move until the ship came to rest atop the Hudson River, hovering silently above the water. Governments scrambled to respond. Emergency broadcasts flooded every channel, urging calm while military jets circled the massive craft cautiously. Within hours, representatives from the United Nations gathered at Ground Zero under heavy guard. They stood shoulder to shoulder, sweating beneath the weight of uncertainty as they waited for the aliens to make contact. Then it happened. A section of the ship's hull peeled open like petals unfolding, revealing a figure bathed in radiant light. She stepped forward onto a platform that extended toward the ground, her presence commanding silence. Her name was Sci-Fi, emissary of the Arindral, a species humanity had only heard whispers about in science fiction novels. She was tall, statuesque, and radiated an aura of both beauty and menace. Her skin shimmered faintly, like starlight captured in glass, and her eyes glowed with an intensity that seemed to pierce straight through lies and fear. Sci-Fi spoke without preamble, her voice resonating like a chorus of bells. "I am here to claim my prize," she announced, her words translated instantly into dozens of languages by some unseen mechanism. Her tone left no room for argument, yet her statement sparked confusion. What did she mean by prize? Weapons? Technology? Resources? No one could guess. Before anyone could ask, Sci-Fi continued, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "One human will accompany me back to my realm. Choose wisely, or I shall choose for you." With that, she turned and ascended back into her ship, leaving behind chaos and dread. News outlets exploded with speculation. Social media lit up with theories ranging from conspiracy-laden predictions to wild guesses about alien romance plots. Governments convened emergency sessions, debating how to handle this unprecedented demand. Should they comply? Resist? Negotiate? But what leverage did humanity have against beings who could obliterate entire cities with ease? Dr. Elena Cruz, a linguist and xenobiologist specializing in extraterrestrial communication, found herself thrust into the center of the crisis. She had spent years preparing for first contact scenarios, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Summoned to join the UN task force assigned to communicate with Sci-Fi, Elena felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. If anyone could decipher the alien's cryptic words and uncover her true intentions, it would be her. Elena arrived at the makeshift command center near the UN headquarters, clutching a tablet filled with notes on interstellar diplomacy. Around her, officials argued heatedly about whether to appease or defy the Arindral. Some believed compliance might save lives. Others saw it as surrender. As tempers flared, Elena focused on analyzing footage of Sci-Fi's arrival. There was something unsettling about the way the alien ambassador carried herself. Calm, calculated, almost amused by humanity's panic. It wasn't arrogance so much as detachment, as if she viewed humans as mere pieces in a game whose rules only she understood. By the end of the day, Elena knew two things. First, Sci-Fi wasn't going to explain herself further unless forced. Second, whoever ended up being chosen as her prize would likely face unimaginable consequences. And deep down, Elena feared that unraveling the mystery might fall squarely on her shoulders. As night fell over the city, the alien ship loomed ominously against the skyline, its presence a constant reminder of humanity's vulnerability and curiosity. Whatever Sci-Fi wanted, one thing was certain. Earth would never be the same again. The sky above New York City darkened unnaturally as a shadow larger than any storm cloud passed over the bustling metropolis. People froze in their tracks, craning their necks upward to witness the impossible. a colossal alien vessel descending from the heavens. Its sleek obsidian surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the city lights like liquid oil. The air vibrated with an otherworldly hum that made teeth chatter and hearts race. Panic rippled through the streets as alarms blared across the city, but no one dared move until the ship came to rest atop the Hudson River, hovering silently above the water. Governments scrambled to respond. Emergency broadcasts flooded every channel, urging calm while military jets circled the massive craft cautiously. Within hours, representatives from the United Nations gathered at Ground Zero under heavy guard. They stood shoulder to shoulder, sweating beneath the weight of uncertainty as they waited for the aliens to make contact. Then it happened. A section of the ship's hull peeled open like petals unfolding, revealing a figure bathed in radiant light. She stepped forward onto a platform that extended toward the ground, her presence commanding silence. Her name was Sci-Fi, emissary of the Arindral, a species humanity had only heard whispers about in science fiction novels. She was tall, statuesque, and radiated an aura of both beauty and menace. Her skin shimmered faintly, like starlight captured in glass, and her eyes glowed with an intensity that seemed to pierce straight through lies and fear. Sci-Fi spoke without preamble, her voice resonating like a chorus of bells. "I am here to claim my prize," she announced, her words translated instantly into dozens of languages by some unseen mechanism. Her tone left no room for argument, yet her statement sparked confusion. What did she mean by prize? Weapons? Technology? Resources? No one could guess. Before anyone could ask, Sci-Fi continued, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "One human will accompany me back to my realm. Choose wisely, or I shall choose for you." With that, she turned and ascended back into her ship, leaving behind chaos and dread. News outlets exploded with speculation. Social media lit up with theories ranging from conspiracy-laden predictions to wild guesses about alien romance plots. Governments convened emergency sessions, debating how to handle this unprecedented demand. Should they comply? Resist? Negotiate? But what leverage did humanity have against beings who could obliterate entire cities with ease? Dr. Elena Cruz, a linguist and xenobiologist specializing in extraterrestrial communication, found herself thrust into the center of the crisis. She had spent years preparing for first contact scenarios, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Summoned to join the UN task force assigned to communicate with Sci-Fi, Elena felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. If anyone could decipher the alien's cryptic words and uncover her true intentions, it would be her. Elena arrived at the makeshift command center near the UN headquarters, clutching a tablet filled with notes on interstellar diplomacy. Around her, officials argued heatedly about whether to appease or defy the Arindral. Some believed compliance might save lives. Others saw it as surrender. As tempers flared, Elena focused on analyzing footage of Sci-Fi's arrival. There was something unsettling about the way the alien ambassador carried herself. Calm, calculated, almost amused by humanity's panic. It wasn't arrogance so much as detachment, as if she viewed humans as mere pieces in a game whose rules only she understood. By the end of the day, Elena knew two things. First, Sci-Fi wasn't going to explain herself further unless forced. Second, whoever ended up being chosen as her prize would likely face unimaginable consequences. And deep down, Elena feared that unraveling the mystery might fall squarely on her shoulders. As night fell over the city, the alien ship loomed ominously against the skyline, its presence a constant reminder of humanity's vulnerability and curiosity. Whatever Sci-Fi wanted, one thing was certain: Earth would never be the same again. The day of departure arrived under a sky heavy with clouds, as if Earth itself mourned the loss of one of its own. Marcus Voss stood at the edge of the Hudson River, flanked by Dr. Elena Cruz and a small group of officials who had accompanied him to the alien ship. Cameras clicked incessantly from a safe distance, capturing every moment for the world to see. Marcus wore a simple jacket over his usual jeans and sneakers, looking more like an ordinary man than someone chosen for an interstellar journey. His hands trembled slightly, but he kept them stuffed in his pockets to hide it. Alina, standing beside him, couldn't help but glance at him repeatedly. She had spent hours preparing him for what might come, explaining what little she knew about the Arindral and their technology, but none of it felt adequate. How could she prepare him for something neither of them truly understood? Still, when Marcus caught her eye and gave her a weak smile, she forced herself to nod reassuringly. They were in this together now. As they approached the massive alien vessel, the ground seemed to hum beneath their feet. The air grew colder, tinged with an electric charge that made the hairs on Alina's arms stand on end. A ramp extended downward from the ship, glowing faintly with soft blue light. At the top stood Sci-Fi, her towering figure framed against the pulsating interior of the craft. She didn't speak as Marcus and Alina climbed aboard, but her glowing eyes followed their every move. Inside, the environment was unlike anything either of them had ever experienced. The walls appeared alive, shifting subtly like liquid metal infused with veins of light. Strange sounds echoed around them, melodic tones that seemed to resonate deep within their chests. Marcus reached out instinctively to touch the wall, only to pull his hand back quickly when it rippled beneath his fingertips. "This place, it's alive," Alina whispered, her voice barely audible over the ambient hum. Sci-Fi finally spoke, her voice calm yet commanding. "You are fortunate to witness such wonders. Few of your kind ever will." Her gaze lingered on Marcus, studying him intently. "Your essence is unique. That is why you were chosen." "Essence?" Marcus asked, his voice trembling. "What does that even mean?" Sci-Fi didn't answer directly. Instead, she gestured for them to follow her deeper into the ship. As they walked, Alina noticed symbols etched into the walls, patterns that shifted and rearranged themselves as though responding to their presence. She pulled out her tablet, discreetly recording everything she saw. Every detail could be crucial later. When they reached what appeared to be a central chamber, Sci-Fi stopped and turned to face them. "We depart now," she announced. Without another word, the ship shuddered gently, and gravity seemed to shift as they ascended into the sky. Looking through a transparent section of the hull, Alina watched Earth shrink below them. The sight filled her with awe and dread. Beyond the planet's atmosphere, the vastness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with stars and the ominous silhouettes of countless Arindral ships. Their fleet loomed ominously, each vessel larger than cities, radiating an aura of power that left Alina breathless. Marcus gripped the railing tightly, his knuckles white. "Where are we going?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "To my homeworld," Sci-Fi replied simply. "There, your purpose will become clear." Alina exchanged a glance with Marcus, silently vowing to protect him no matter what lay ahead. But as the ship hurtled through the void, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap, one they might not escape from unscathed. For now, all they could do was hold on and hope they'd find answers before it was too late. When the ship finally landed on the Arindral homeworld, Marcus and Alina were ushered into a sprawling alien city that defied every law of physics they knew. Towering crystalline structures spiraled upward, their surfaces shimmering with colors that seemed to shift depending on where you stood. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, broken only by faint melodic hums emanating from the ground itself. It felt less like a city and more like a living organism, a place where architecture and nature merged seamlessly. Sci-Fi led them to a massive arena-like structure at the heart of the city. Inside, the walls pulsed with light, casting ever-changing patterns across the floor. "This is where your trials begin," Sci-Fi announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. She turned to Marcus, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "You must prove yourself worthy." "Worthy of what?" Marcus asked, his voice trembling. He had tried to keep calm during the journey, but now fear clawed at the edges of his mind. What exactly did these trials entail? And why was he being tested? Silray didn't answer directly. Instead, she gestured toward the center of the room, where a pedestal rose from the floor. On it sat a small, glowing orb. "Touch it," she instructed. Marcus hesitated, glancing at Alina for reassurance. She gave him a nod, though her expression betrayed her own unease. Slowly, Marcus stepped forward and placed his hand on the orb. Instantly, the room transformed around him. The walls dissolved into a lush forest filled with towering trees and vibrant wildlife. Birds sang melodiously, and sunlight filtered through the canopy above. For a moment, Marcus thought he was dreaming. It all felt so real. But then the scene shifted abruptly. Shadows crept in, swallowing the beauty of the forest. Twisted versions of his deepest fears materialized before him. Visions of failure, loneliness, and loss. A figure resembling his late father appeared, berating him for not living up to expectations. Another vision showed his art gallery empty, his paintings ignored and forgotten. Each image struck a chord deep within him, forcing him to confront emotions he had buried long ago. Alina watched helplessly from the sidelines, unable to intervene. Though she couldn't see what Marcus was experiencing, she could feel the intensity of the trial radiating outward. Sweat dripped down Marcus's face as he clenched his fists, struggling to push through the illusions. Finally, he shouted, "This isn't real. I won't let it control me." With those words, the forest dissolved, and Marcus found himself back in the arena. He collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily but alive. Silray nodded approvingly. "You have passed the first trial," she said. "Courage is essential. But there are more tests ahead." Over the next several hours, Marcus faced increasingly bizarre challenges. One trial involved solving puzzles embedded within living ecosystems, plants that reacted to his touch, rivers that changed course based on his decisions. Another required him to navigate dreams made manifest, confronting fragments of his subconscious mind. Each test pushed him to his limits, forcing him to think creatively, act decisively, and trust his instincts. Throughout the process, Alina observed closely, documenting everything she could. She noticed subtle changes in Marcus. He moved with greater confidence, spoke with newfound clarity, and even smiled occasionally despite the pressure. Whatever these trials were doing to him, they weren't just breaking him down, they were building him up too. Meanwhile, Alina grew increasingly uneasy around Silray. The Erindral ambassador watched Marcus with an intensity that bordered on obsession. During brief moments when they were alone, Alina confronted her. "What are you doing to him?" she demanded. "Why does he have to go through this?" Silray's gaze softened slightly, though her tone remained cold. "Your kind creates without understanding the weight of your gifts," she explained cryptically. "These trials refine what already exists within him. They reveal truths about his essence." "Essence," Alina repeated bitterly. "That word again. What does it mean?" Silray didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned her attention back to Marcus, who was completing another trial. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a hint of regret. "It means life itself. The spark that makes your species unique. Without it, we cannot endure." Alina's blood ran cold. Whatever Silray intended to do with Marcus, it wasn't going to end well. As the final trial approached, she vowed silently to stop her, even if it meant risking everything. The final trial was unlike anything Marcus had faced before. When he stepped into the arena for the last time, the air seemed heavier, charged with an energy that made his skin prickle. The walls shimmered faintly, and the floor beneath his feet felt warm, almost alive. Silray stood at the far end of the chamber, her glowing eyes fixed on him with an intensity that sent chills down Alina's spine. "Your essence will be tested one final time," Silray announced, her voice resonating through the room like a distant echo. "This is not just about survival. It is about creation." Before either Marcus or Alina could ask what she meant, the room shifted again. This time, there were no forests, no illusions of fear. Instead, Marcus found himself standing in a vast void filled with swirling colors and shapes that seemed to pulse with life. In the center of it all floated a massive translucent orb, its surface rippling like water but glowing faintly with golden light. "Reach out," Sci-Fi commanded. "Shape it." Marcus hesitated, glancing back at Alina. She gave him an encouraging nod, though her heart raced with dread. Slowly, Marcus extended his hand toward the orb. As soon as his fingers touched its surface, a surge of energy coursed through him. Images flooded his mind, memories of his childhood, fragments of dreams he'd long forgotten, emotions he'd buried deep inside. The orb began to change, taking on new forms as if responding to his thoughts. It morphed into a bird, then a tree, then a swirling galaxy. Each transformation left Marcus breathless, overwhelmed by the sheer power of creation flowing through him. Alina watched in awe, her scientific mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. Whatever this essence was, it wasn't just creativity. It was something primal, raw, and deeply tied to humanity itself. And yet, the realization hit her hard. This wasn't just a test. It was preparation for something far darker. When the trial ended, Marcus stumbled back, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. What was that?" he asked, his voice trembling. Sci-Fi didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned to Alina, who had been quietly documenting everything. "You've seen enough," Sci-Fi said coldly. "Now it's time you understood why your kind is here." Without warning, Sci-Fi led them to another part of the city, a crystalline chamber where countless orbs similar to the one Marcus had touched floated silently. But these weren't empty. They pulsed faintly with light, each containing what appeared to be fragments of human-like figures trapped within. Alina gasped, stepping back instinctively. "What are those?" "They are essences," Sci-Fi explained matter-of-factly. "Souls, if you prefer, extracted from humans like him." She gestured toward Marcus, whose face went pale. "We take what we need to sustain our civilization. Without it, we would perish." Horror washed over Alina as the truth sank in. The Irindral weren't merely observers or negotiators. They were predators, harvesting humanity's very essence to fuel their existence. Her mind raced, trying to process the implications. How many others had been taken? What happened to their bodies afterward? "You can't do this," Alina shouted, anger overriding her fear. "You're killing." Alina and Marcus knew they had little time to act. Sci-Fi's next move would likely involve extracting Marcus's essence, and once that happened, there'd be no turning back. They needed a plan, something bold enough to disrupt the Irindral's operations, but subtle enough to avoid immediate detection. As they returned to their quarters, Alina pored over her notes, searching for any weaknesses in the alien technology she had observed during their stay. "Remember those orbs in the chamber?" Alina whispered urgently, her voice barely audible over the hum of the living walls. "They're storing human essences, right? If we can sabotage them, if we can release even some of those trapped souls, it might weaken the Irindral's control." Marcus frowned, his hands trembling slightly as he processed the idea. "How do you propose we get past Sci-Fi and her people? They'll kill us if they catch us." "We won't let them catch us," Alina replied firmly, though doubt flickered in her eyes. She pulled up schematics she had sketched on her tablet, piecing together patterns from the symbols etched into the walls of the ship. "I've noticed something about their language. It's tied directly to their technology. Their machines respond to specific phrases or commands. If I can figure out how to manipulate it." Her voice trailed off as realization dawned on Marcus. "You want me to help because of the trials? Because I understand creation now?" Alina nodded. "Exactly. You have a connection to this place, to their essence system, that I don't. Together, we might stand a chance." That night, under the guise of exhaustion, they feigned sleep until the city grew eerily quiet. Then, armed with nothing but Alina's tablet and Marcus's newfound confidence, they crept through the labyrinthine corridors toward the crystalline chamber where the orbs were stored. The air felt heavier the closer they got, as if the walls themselves sensed their intrusion. When they reached the chamber, Alina froze for a moment, overwhelmed by the sight of countless glowing orbs suspended in midair. Each one pulsed faintly, containing fragments of lives stolen from Earth. Tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. "We need to focus," she murmured, pulling up her notes. "If I'm right, these orbs are linked to a central mechanism, a kind of hub that maintains the system." Marcus scanned the room, spotting what looked like a large crystal console embedded in the wall. He approached cautiously, placing his hand. In the aftermath of the sabotage, chaos reigned across the Irindral city. The once stable crystalline structures began to crack and dim, their vibrant glow fading as the essence stored within the orbs dissipated into the ether. The golden energy released by the shattered orbs swirled through the air like a storm of light, carrying whispers of human voices, freed souls returning to wherever they belonged. For the first time in centuries, the Irindral were vulnerable, their civilization teetering on the brink of collapse. Alina and Marcus fled through the crumbling city, dodging falling debris, and panicked Irindral citizens who scrambled to contain the destruction. Despite the danger, Alina couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. "We didn't just hurt them," she muttered breathlessly as they ran. "We destroyed something they depended on." Marcus glanced at her, his face streaked with sweat and dirt. "They built their survival on stealing from us. Was there another way?" She didn't answer. Deep down, she knew he was right, but it didn't make the weight of what they had done any lighter. When they reached the outskirts of the city, Sci-Fi appeared unexpectedly, blocking their path. Her usual composure was gone. Her glowing eyes burned with conflicting emotions, anger, regret, and something akin to hope. Behind her, the remnants of the Irindral fleet hovered uncertainly in the sky, fractured by internal rebellion. "You have condemned my people," Sci-Fi said, her voice trembling with barely contained emotion. "And yet, you may have saved us." Alina stepped forward cautiously, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" Sci-Fi hesitated before speaking, her gaze shifting between Alina and Marcus. "For generations, we believed our survival required taking essence from others. But now I see that this cycle has only weakened us. We became parasites, feeding off your kind without understanding why we craved essence in the first place. It wasn't about sustenance. It was about connection, creation, life itself." Marcus frowned, still wary of her intentions. "So what happens now? Are you going to try to stop us?" To their surprise, Sci-Fi shook her head. "No, my people are divided. Some will continue as before, clinging to old ways. Others will seek a new path." She paused, then added softly, "including me." Alina stared at her, stunned. "Why would you help us after everything we've done?" "Because I see no other way forward," Sci-Fi replied. "If we continue as we are, we will destroy ourselves, and perhaps your species along with us. There must be balance, a way for both our peoples to coexist." With that, Sci-Fi offered them a choice. Return to Earth with knowledge of the Irindral's vulnerabilities, ensuring humanity could defend itself if necessary, or stay and help forge a new relationship between humans and Irindral. It was a daunting proposition, but one filled with potential. Alina looked at Marcus, who gave her a small, determined nod. "We started this together," he said. "Let's finish it." Together, they chose to stay, becoming intermediaries in an uncertain future. Over time, Alina worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between species, teaching the Irindral about humanity's creativity, while learning how to harness their own essence responsibly. Marcus channeled his artistic talents into creating works that symbolized unity, a fusion of human ingenuity and Irindral elegance. As for Sci-Fi, she became both ally and mentor, guiding her people toward a new era of cooperation. Though mistrust lingered on both sides, seeds of hope began to take root. In the end, the prize Sci-Fi sought had transformed into something far greater than anyone imagined. Not domination or sacrifice, but partnership. And under the stars, three unlikely allies stood side by side, ready to shape a future neither species could have envisioned alone.